We have no power. So how do we handle this? And Gretchen Whitmer showed us one way. Can we show that picture? Because she was in the Oval Office, same place I was a few weeks before. And this is what she did. Okay, I think there's a couple of ways to handle the Oval Office, and this is not the way I chose. You don't want to talk to people? You have no power.
Bill Maher will surprise you sometimes. Sometimes he'll be smart and right on, and sometimes just totally off. This time he had a panel of the guy on the right, at least, who was pretty right on and shocked the whole panel by saying something that you're not allowed to say. And then Bill Maher also did not shock us because he just caved to the whole leftist ideology. It's STUNDaniel here. Let's roll.
Here are the questions from the actual people. For Douglas, what is your reaction to the UK Supreme Court declaring that the definition of a woman is, well, we should include you in this too. It's about women, is based on biological sex and excludes transgender people. Yeah, this was a big ruling this week in England. The Supreme Court, their definition of woman is biological sex. To put it in shorthand, J.K. Rowling won.
Yes. J.K. Rowling won. Everyone who said this for years has won. All the, particularly women who've been defamed and lied about and bullied and chased and much more for years, they were right. And I just think, apart from being a statement of the obvious, isn't it amazing that the best legal minds in Britain spent years having to work out the first thing we knew as a species?
Can't wait to see how Bill and the Democrat respond to that one.
Just to be clear, we're not saying there's not such a thing as trans, right? We're not saying there's not such a thing as someone who is, quote unquote, born in the wrong body.
I don't think people get born in the wrong body now.
Oh, I do.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a default setting for humans.
Yeah.
Like, we should acknowledge that. It's not just every time there's a baby, ooh, who knows what the fuck it is. That's crazy. But there are...
Beyond me, yeah.
But there are variations.
There are variations.
Homosexuality.
That's right. It's a continuum.
And then, you know, but it's how we handle that.
That's
you know?
right.
I mean, and I think we would agree that, you know, children, and this is where America is now an outlier country. We're the only country that went full, and I guess Trump is reversing it, but certainly under Biden, who went fully toward that. Like, we don't care what age, kids can self-diagnose themselves. I mean, that to me was going way too far on this. Again, nobody just comes back to the sensible center.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the sensible...
Of course, here comes the Democrat who's sensible. She said, to me, the sensible thing. What sense does she have? Oh, yes, you can be born in the wrong body. It's just a natural thing, but it was incorrect. You just...
center is that, like, you respect people, you trust parents.
Oh, surprise, surprise. She's from Minnesota.
You let parents figure out what to do with their kids, and you don't need a bunch of politicians in Washington making decisions.
That is not the Democratic position, at least here in California.
Well, that's my position.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. I think that's where the Democratic Party should. That is not the position that we've had here in California, which is like, don't tell the parents what the kids are doing at school. That's a whole, and that you really alienate voters.
Yeah.
Parents are voters. When you're not a parent yet, you know, it's like, oh, voting, whatever, you know.
Sex is not a spectrum. I mean, it's male and female. There are some people with very unusual conditions who deserve absolute sympathy and support. But that does not mean that we're a hermaphroditic species. We're just not.
No, but
well, that's not it.
No, not the whole species. But this goes back, I mean, like, I don't want to use the term chicks with dicks, but I could.
You did.
I mean... This goes back to, like, ancient Rome, and, like, there was always people who were, like, not quite one...
It's not hard to get to toleration and acceptance without rewriting biology.
Right, right.
It's a norm. That's your normal, sir.
Yeah, but you rewrite biology if you say that people were born in the wrong bodies. No! They're making a twisted, dark choice of their own, which they have the freedom to do in America. But I believe it's dark to say F you to their biological setting because they were born in the wrong body. Thank God the guy on the right has some balls. The other ones are so weak.
What is the legacy of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, which was 250 years ago today? The fact that no under 40 knows what the fuck I'm talking about. That's the legacy of that.
Maybe 60.
Yeah, right.
Maybe 60.
Well, maybe the legacy is that we decided we didn't want a king, and oh, what the fuck, here we have one.
Right. There you go.
That is so bad. You're a senator, and you're dropping the F-bomb on a TV show? Nah, man. And that's one thing Nancy Mace does the same thing. Senator, representative from South Carolina, she goes off, cursing. That is not a dignified thing to do as a politician.
Decided we didn't want a king, and oh, what the fuck, here we have one.
Right. There you go.
Doing it to try to sound cool.
What does the panel think of RFK Jr. announcing he will find the cause of autism by September of this year?
I think it's when OJ finds the real killer. I think it's...
well, he's dead, so that's not going to happen. Well, I would say, this is why people think he's a quack, because you're not going to put a date on something they've been looking into for 30 years.
That's right.
And say, we're going to have it by September. It's not going to be, oh, it's the gummy bears.
But that might be something. That might be something you say if you think you already know the answer to the question you're asking, and you're going to deliver the answer in September,
he
right?
Did speak on what I read in the paper is he did speak on it this week, and I did not agree with the point of view of the article I was reading, which was that he's completely crazy because he was saying it's not mostly genetic, it's mostly environmental toxins. I happen to believe that's probably a more likely answer. And they were saying, well, no, genetics, and of course genetics is involved in everything health-wise. But to present the argument I saw framed in that way, that he's a kook because he thinks it's coming. I mean, environmental toxins is really the story of my lifetime. I'm glad I was born as old as I am at a time when everything wasn't completely polluted. I think that's why I'm still alive today. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And I mean...
But, Bill, the air is less polluted, the water is less polluted. As countries get richer, they pollute less. When they're industrializing, they pollute more. There might be individual environmental toxins, yes, but as a broad, description of the status of OECD countries, we are polluting on net less.
It depends on where you live, first of all.
Yeah.
That's right.
Out here in California, I believe I'm breathing in the fire still. The fire burned a lot of this city, and a lot of this city had plastic in their home. And we were already getting, they say, a credit card's worth of plastic in our body on a weekly basis. So I don't know what you're talking about, like it's better than it used to be.
I'm talking about I can see the mountains from Long Beach, which I couldn't growing up. I mean, we pass rules, we do cleaner tech over time, and all rich countries do this. It is a process. It's a whole theory of the case called the Kuznets curve. It's a thing. It's worth reflecting.
And you can see that if you've traveled, like I have. I think I've been to like 30-something countries now. I can see it in way less developed countries. You can see the lack of clarity or clearness or healthiness in the air. You can see it in Serbia. I've seen only videos in China where you can really see it. You can see it in some Asian countries. You can see it in Thailand like crazy, how bad the air quality is. So it's very true. The less developed, less modernized countries, just like a few of them I named, you can really see the difference.
On and respecting too.
Okay. Well, you may be sanguine about that. Maybe that's a libertarian in you. But this is what I worry about more than anything, is the plastic in my head. Because someday it's just going to...
I worry about it too.
You should. You should. After Trump said Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's termination can't come fast enough, do you think Powell will last until the end of his term next May? Now, the president is absolutely not allowed to fire the head of the Federal Reserve, right?
And not unless he just commits, massive malfeasance. And, Jay Powell has said, you can't fire me and I'm not going to leave. So this is a classic example of why we do want parts of our government to be independent from political influence, particularly the parts of our government that are going to have a big impact on the long-term strength of our economy. So,
and you can't tell me behind the scenes there's not a deep state that moves around and fights against the will of the people. But she won't bring that up, you know. Oh, but Trump can't try to pressure a guy. But the deep state behind the scenes, they can pressure people all they want, no problem.
I give it to December. You can make a person uncomfortable, and Donald Trump right now is on a making people uncomfortable spree. He's trying to light fires everywhere, and it'll be difficult for Powell to stay in this job.
Also, we're at war. We're at war with Venezuelan gangs.
Yes,
so when
right.
you're at war, you can do anything, right? Isn't that
Sadly,
the argument
yes.
they'll make? I mean, they'll just make it up.
rights.
This is what happens when you lose all your power.
There's one way he'll get fired immediately, which is if he's bad on TV. Bad on
He doesn't go on TV.
Somebody should send him on. He'll be bad. The president will hate it. He's gone.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Americans are in support of deporting criminals. Absolutely. Violent criminals, it's like 97-1. Yes, deport the violent criminals, but they're not in favor at all of the president of the United States defying the Supreme Court. It's like an 80-20 issue. He's on the wrong side of that.
But okay, but so what? If I may address the little shot you just gave me, so fucking what, okay? I don't understand this. We're at that part of the movie where there's a gunfight and the guy, and then click, click. There's no more bullets in the gun. We have no power. So how do we handle this? And Gretchen Whitmer showed us one way. Can we show that picture? Because she was in the Oval Office, same place I was a few weeks before. And this is what she did. Okay, I think there's a couple of ways to handle the Oval Office, and this is not the way I chose. You don't want to talk to people? You have no power.
It makes a lot of sense because Bill was willing to go and do a dinner with Trump, who has power right now, even if it's a game to try to kiss up to someone who's in power to make more moves that you want to have made. At least I could understand the logic of that. It's not right, but you can understand. So like if Bill here went to go speak to Trump, have dinner with him like he did, and then you got Governor Whitmer, who's Miss Anti-Trump, and she's afraid to have her picture taken in the Oval Office because she wants to make a big statement that I'm not really here. I don't know what that was. It's really dumb because the Democrats have no power, like Bill's saying. You guys are cooked, and we need to do something different. And maybe coming to the table, not just chasing migrants in El Salvador who are illegal, but we don't really have power. And if Bill Maher, I got to give it to him, he's at least willing to say some real stuff sometimes, even though he might be way too liberal, super atheist, all that stuff. He does keep it real sometimes. It's STUNS here. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking or subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me get my salute.